heart of the great African savannah, there was a kingdom ruled by King Tortoise, a wise and cunning ruler who had seen many seasons pass. King Tortoise had a daughter, Princess Naya, who was known far and wide for her beauty, grace, and intelligence. Many suitors from distant lands came to seek her hand in marriage, but King Tortoise set a challenge for any who wished to wed his daughter. Only the bravest and wisest animal in the kingdom could claim her hand. One day, Lion, the proud and mighty king of the beasts, strode into the court of King Tortoise. His golden mane gleamed under the sun, and his roar shook the earth. "I am the strongest of all creatures," Lion declared, his voice booming. "No one can stand against me. Surely, King Tortoise, your daughter is meant for me." The court trembled at Lion's arrogance, but King Tortoise, calm as always, simply nodded. "Strength alone does not win my daughter's heart, Lion. You must prove your wisdom and bravery as well." At that moment, a low growl interrupted the conversation. Out of the shadows stepped Dog, a humble yet clever creature. "I, too, wish to compete for Princess Naya's hand," Dog said, his tail wagging confidently. The animals in the court chuckled. How could a small dog compete with the mighty lion? King Tortoise smiled knowingly. "Very well," he said. "Both of you will compete in 3 trials. The one who wins all 3 shall marry Princess Naya." Lion scoffed at the idea of competing with Dog, but he agreed. The first trial was a test of strength. The 2 suitors were led to the great baobab tree that stood at the edge of the kingdom. King Tortoise decreed, "Whoever can bring down the most fruits from the top of the tree will win this round." Lion, with his mighty claws, leaped and swiped at the tree, sending a rain of baobab fruits tumbling to the ground. The animals cheered, convinced that Lion had already won. But Dog, small and quick, darted around the base of the tree. Instead of leaping for the fruits, he barked loudly at a flock of birds perched in the branches. Startled, the birds took flight, shaking the tree so fiercely that more fruits than Lion had knocked loose fell to the ground. Dog grinned, and King Tortoise declared him the winner of the first trial. Lion growled in frustration but remained confident. This was only a test of cunning. The next will show who is truly the strongest. For the second trial, the suitors were taken to a wide river that flowed through the kingdom. "Whoever crosses the river with the greatest speed shall win," announced King Tortoise. Lion, powerful and swift, plunged into the river and began swimming with powerful strokes. The crowd watched in awe as he cut through the water like a great boat. But Dog, once again using his wits, ran along the bank, barking at a group of nearby crocodiles. The reptiles, irritated by his noise, started thrashing in the water near Lion, slowing him down. Meanwhile, Dog leaped onto a floating log and used the current to carry him swiftly across to the other side. King Tortoise nodded. Dog wins again. Lion's eyes burned with rage, but he knew the final trial would be his chance to redeem himself. The last test, the most difficult of all, was one of courage. King Tortoise explained that deep within the dark forest lived a dangerous spirit that guarded a rare gem. The first to return with the gem would be the victor. Without hesitation, Lion charged into the forest, determined to claim victory. Dog, however, paused before entering. He sat quietly, listening to the sounds of the forest, and then trotted forward with caution. Hours passed, and the animals waited anxiously for the suitors to return. Finally, Lion emerged from the forest, bruised and battered, but empty-handed. He growled in frustration. The spirit was too powerful, he admitted grudgingly. Moments later, Dog appeared, carrying the glowing gem between his teeth. The crowd gasped in surprise. King Tortoise raised his hand to quiet the crowd and asked Dog how he managed to retrieve the gem. Dog, panting but triumphant, explained, "I did not try to fight the spirit. Instead, I befriended it by offering a piece of meat from my hunt. The spirit let me take the gem without conflict." Lion snarled in disbelief. "This is unfair. I am the strongest, yet I am defeated by trickery." Before King Tortoise could respond, a sudden tremor shook the ground, and from the depths of the dark forest, the spirit appeared, casting a shadow over the kingdom. The ground quaked as the spirit emerged from the dark forest, towering over the kingdom with eyes glowing like fire. It was an enormous, shadowy figure with arms like branches and a voice that rumbled like thunder. The animals in King Tortoise's court cowered in fear, trembling under the spirit's gaze. "I am the guardian of the dark forest," the spirit boomed. "And I have come to see for myself the one who dares take the gem." Lion stood frozen, still nursing his wounds from his encounter with the spirit. Even in his pride, he knew he could not defeat this being. Dog, however, stepped forward, still holding the gem in his mouth. The spirit's gaze turned toward him. "You, little creature, were wise to befriend me instead of seeking battle. Yet, taking my gem is no small offense. Why did you do it?" Dog laid the gem gently at the spirit's feet and bowed his head. "Great guardian, I only sought to prove my courage, as the king commanded. I meant no disrespect." The spirit considered Dog's words, its fiery eyes narrowing. "Courage indeed you have shown," the spirit said, "but courage is not enough. Strength alone does not rule the world, and cunning can only get you so far. True leaders must possess a heart of compassion." King Tortoise, wise as ever, stepped forward to address the spirit. "Great guardian," he said calmly, "it was I who set this challenge, not to offend, but to find the worthiest creature in the kingdom to wed my daughter. Yet perhaps the trials are not yet complete. You speak of compassion, how shall we test that?" The spirit's eyes flickered, and a sudden gust of wind swirled around the court. "Very well," it said. "A final trial shall decide. I will create a storm that will sweep through this land. Only one with true compassion in their heart can calm the storm and protect the kingdom." As the spirit spoke, dark clouds began to gather over the kingdom, and a fierce wind picked up. The animals grew anxious, sensing the coming danger. Lion, still smarting from his previous losses, roared defiantly. "I will stop this storm. I am the strongest here." He lunged toward the rising wind, but no matter how loud his roar or how hard he fought, the storm only grew fiercer, as if mocking his strength. Meanwhile, Dog quietly observed the chaos around him. He saw the smaller animals, rabbits, mice, and birds, struggling to find shelter from the growing storm. Without hesitation, Dog ran to them, guiding them to safety, backing commands to help them find refuge beneath rocks and in burrows. The animals followed Dog, trusting his calm and steady guidance. As the storm intensified, Dog noticed a young fawn trapped beneath a fallen tree branch. With no thought for himself, Dog dashed over, biting and pulling at the branch, straining with all his might. It was too heavy for him to lift alone, but his determination caught the attention of a nearby elephant, who lumbered over and helped lift the branch, freeing the fawn. The spirit watched all this unfold with interest, while Lion continued to fight the storm in vain, growing more frustrated and exhausted with each passing moment. Suddenly, the winds began to calm. The dark clouds slowly parted, and the fierce storm started to subside. All eyes turned to Dog, who stood exhausted but surrounded by the animals he had helped save. The spirit, now a towering presence above the kingdom, nodded approvingly. "You have passed the final trial, Dog," the spirit declared. "Strength and cunning are important, but it is compassion that truly makes a leader. You have shown that your heart is as brave as it is kind." Lion, defeated and humiliated, hung his head in shame. The crowd murmured, amazed at how Dog had succeeded where the mighty Lion had failed. King Tortoise, his wise eyes gleaming, stepped forward. "It seems, Dog, you have proven yourself worthy not just through courage and cunning, but through your compassion and humility. The kingdom recognizes your worth. But before we celebrate, let us hear from my daughter, Princess Naya." Princess Naya, who had been silently watching all along, rose from her place. Her eyes were filled with admiration for Dog, but before she could speak, a voice rang out from the shadows, smooth, low, and cunning. "Wait," called a figure stepping into the light. It was none other than Hyena, notorious for his sly tricks and schemes. "I, too, seek Princess Naya's hand. But unlike these two, I bring neither strength nor compassion. I bring strategy, and I believe the real test has just begun." Hyena stepped into the light, his eyes gleaming with sly confidence. The animals in the court whispered among themselves, surprised by his sudden appearance. Known for his tricks and deceit, Hyena had not competed in the earlier trials, yet here he was, declaring himself a challenger for Princess Naya's hand. King Tortoise raised an eyebrow, intrigued by Hyena's boldness. "You arrive late, Hyena. What strategy do you bring that the others have not shown?" Hyena smiled, his sharp teeth glinting. "I know that in this kingdom, the one who can outwit others wins. Strength and compassion are valuable, but in the end, it's strategy that decides victory. Let me show you how I will prove myself worthy." The court watched in tense silence as Hyena approached the Great Spirit, who still stood like a looming shadow over the kingdom. He bowed low before the guardian of the dark forest. "Great Guardian, may I ask a question?" The spirit narrowed its fiery eyes. "Speak, Hyena." Hyena grinned. "You said that the final trial was one of compassion and Dog has passed. But you never declared that the trial had ended. I propose this, since Dog has shown his compassion, why not let Lion and me demonstrate our worth in another way? Let us each complete one last task, and whoever does so with the greatest success shall win." The animals gasped. Dog, still recovering from the storm, glanced at Hyena with suspicion. Lion, sensing a final chance to redeem himself, perked up and stepped forward. "I accept," Lion growled. "I will not be defeated so easily." King Tortoise, thoughtful as ever, turned to the spirit. "What say you, Great Guardian? Shall we allow this final test?" The spirit gazed at Dog, Lion, and Hyena, its glowing eyes flickering. "Very well," it rumbled. "I shall give each of you one final task. The one who completes it with the greatest wisdom shall be declared the victor." The animals held their breath as the spirit pointed toward the distant horizon, where a great mountain towered over the land. On that mountain lives an eagle that has lost its way. It flies too high, where the air is thin, and has become weak. Your task is to bring the eagle back to safety. Go now, and let the final trial begin. Without hesitation, Lion sprinted off toward the mountain, his muscles rippling with strength. Hyena, as crafty as ever, slinked into the tall grass, plotting his own strategy. Dog, though weary from the previous trials, took a deep breath and followed the path. As Lion climbed the steep mountain, he looked up and saw the eagle circling high above. "I will simply roar to scare it down," Lion thought. He let out a mighty roar, but the eagle did not budge. It continued to soar, too weak and disoriented to come down. Meanwhile, Hyena reached the foot of the mountain and spotted a family of vultures perched on a cliff. "Perhaps I can trick them into helping," he muttered to himself. He called out to the vultures, promising them riches if they would fly up and bring the eagle down. But the vultures, sensing Hyena's deceit, ignored him and flew away. Dog, on the other hand, quietly approached the mountain and observed the eagle's flight. He noticed how the bird struggled with the high altitude, flapping its wings feebly. Instead of shouting or trying to deceive others into helping, Dog used his keen sense of direction and intuition. He found a narrow path leading higher up the mountain and began to climb carefully. As Dog reached the peak, he stood silently, watching the eagle. He realized that the bird was frightened and lost, unable to descend on its own. With a calm and gentle bark, Dog called out to the eagle, encouraging it to follow him down. The eagle, hearing the kindness in Dog's voice, turned toward him. Slowly, Dog led the way down the mountain, guiding the eagle with patience and care. When Dog and the eagle finally reached the base of the mountain, the animals of the kingdom were waiting. Lion, having failed to bring the eagle down, was pacing angrily. Hyena, frustrated by his failed trickery, slunk back into the shadows. The spirit appeared once more, its massive form casting a shadow over the land. It looked at Lion and Hyena, then turned to Dog, who stood beside the eagle. "You have shown true wisdom, Dog," the spirit said. "You did not rely on force or deception. Instead, you used compassion and patience to guide the eagle to safety. This final test proves that you are not only brave and kind but wise beyond measure." King Tortoise, his old eyes filled with pride, stepped forward. "It is decided. Dog, you have earned the right to marry my daughter, Princess Naya." The kingdom shall celebrate your victory." The animals erupted into cheers, celebrating Dog's triumph. Even Lion, though disappointed, bowed his head in respect. Hyena, however, slunk away in silence, disappearing back into the shadows from where he came. Princess Naya, radiant and proud, approached Dog with a warm smile. "You have proven yourself worthy, Dog," she said. "Not only through your strength and courage but through your heart. I will gladly stand by your side." And so, the kingdom rejoiced. The wise King Tortoise declared a grand celebration in honor of Dog and Princess Naya's union. The spirit, satisfied with the outcome, returned to the dark forest, leaving the kingdom in peace. As the sun set over the great savannah, the animals danced and feasted, knowing that the kingdom was now in the hands of a leader who possessed not only strength and wisdom but a heart full of compassion. The end.